Today, to just sort of kick off the whole idea of VinYin, let's actually start a little yin. So coming into supported back bend, nice long hold. So grab either a blanket, you could use a bolster if you have that and that feels good, or a block will do. And we're just gonna come into supported bridge pose. And I'm gonna say, don't like go super high here. Choose a height lower than you usually go, maybe a couple heights lower. So just keeping it nice and simple. Press into your feet, line up with your knees over your ankles, and then slide the block or whatever prop you're using underneath your sacrum. You could always roll up a mat here as well, that would work. So just kind of taking it easy here to start out. You might kind of snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you so you feel that widening across your heart and chest, that lift of the sternum up towards the ceiling. Notice if you're rolling to the outer edges of your feet at all, just press a little bit to the inner edge. So even though this is more passive, we still want to have nice alignment here. And then take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Couple more times like that. So really just landing on your mat, starting to land inside your body, really paying attention, committing to that idea of just noticing how things are feeling for you today. So we start kind of with the physical shape, but then you might even start to check in. How are you feeling emotionally, mentally? Not even necessarily trying to change anything here, but just bringing our awareness to all of that. And then eventually starting to drop into your Ujjayi breath. So inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your nose, creating that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. Length of the inhale, length of the exhale are nice and even, nice and steady. There's this symmetry with the breath, the inhale and the exhale. And hopefully that starts to have a calming quality on the mind. And that being said, you'll be distracted by sounds happening around you, by sounds happening inside the brain. That's probably harder to turn off. Just do your best. And if it's not going well, that's okay. Some days are like that. In this shape, it's really easy to feel the expansiveness of the breath. So just notice how it feels as you inhale, the front of the body, sides of the body, the back of the body. Feel that expansion of the rib cage in all directions. And then also notice the opposite of that. As you exhale, everything contracts in, empties out. See if you can exaggerate both of those a little more. Good. Welcome, Anne. We're going to be here another couple minutes, so do make any adjustments that you need to. You might be kind of melting into this a little more, feeling those shoulder blades get heavier into the floor underneath you, feeling that widening across your heart and chest. You might even roll the shoulder blades under a little more here if you're feeling open and ready to do that. As you exhale, perhaps you can direct your tailbone forward a little more so you find more length through the sides of your waist. And these look really good. On your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead. So palms face towards each other. So getting a little more length. We're going to stay here like this for a few breaths. If it is accessible to you in your shoulders, interlace your fingers and then press the palms to face behind you. Let's see if you can get that inner arm to wrap towards your outer arm. And again, this might be a little intense starting out, especially if the shoulders are really tight. So just palms facing towards each other is also fine. If your fingers are interlaced, just flip the palms and then change the interlacing so the opposite thumb and index come on top, and then press your palms away. Notice how this side might feel just a little bit different. Just that subtle change does make a difference. Good. One more deep inhale, fill up, and then pause the breath at the top. See if you can sip in a little more air. And then sigh the breath out, exhale, release the hands, they come by the side. Press into your feet, remove your prop out from underneath you, and then just take your feet as wide as your mat, bring your arms out in a T shape, and then moving super, super slow. Just start to windshield wiper the legs, so knees fall off to the right as you exhale. Inhale up to center. They fall off to the left. So no hurry, just releasing the lower back after that nice long back bend. Gaze can just be straight up at the ceiling here. You can start to gaze in the opposite direction that the knees are falling if that feels okay in your neck. And then the next time the knees are falling off to the right, leave them there. And then just choose to stay like this for a few breaths. You're probably feeling a nice stretch, especially in the top of that left thigh, hip flexor. If you want to intensify that a little bit, take your right ankle slightly above that left knee. So it's just applying a little weight. As you go there, it might feel like too much. So you can just back out to where you were if it's not working for you today. Coming back to that sound of your Ujjayi breath if you've lost it at all. As you exhale, release that right ankle or that right foot if you took that variation, and then knees fall off to the left, maybe taking left ankle above right knee if that feels okay, maybe gazing out of your right fingertips, and then noticing how that stretch has shifted. So you're probably especially feeling it lower right back, right hip flexor, so the front of the leg. This side might feel a lot different than the other side. Just observing all of that. And then if you have that ankle crossed over your knee, just uncross, bring knees up to center. Really easy here. Just give the legs a squeeze into your chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. And then begin to roll forward and back if that feels okay. If it just feels better to roll off to one side or the other, you're welcome to do that as well. But eventually making your way up to your tabletop position. Nice work. Good, so landing with shoulders over wrists, fingers spread, press evenly, knees underneath your hips, and then we just begin to move into our cat-cow. It can be really nice to keep your eyes closed here. As you inhale, arch into your lumbar. As you exhale, press the mat away, round, and really let the back of the neck lengthen and release, and then continue like that. So just finding a pace that feels good, starting to warm up the spine. Hi, Megan. Good. Enjoying this sense of vinyasa. So this connecting movement with breath, introducing some space and mobility into the spine. A few more rounds like this. Good. On your next inhale, come back to a neutral spine. And let's just get into the core a little bit here. So you're going to curl your toes under. You're going to pull your lower belly in, and then you're just going to lift your knees up about an inch and then kind of let the neck drop. So it's kind of like you're doing that cat stretch in the upper body and the thoracic. Feel the outer hips squeeze in towards each other, and you're not lifting the knees a lot. It's the tiniest little amount, nice crisp. Couple more breaths. From here, as you exhale, start to stretch the sit bones up towards the ceiling. Pull back to your downward dog. You might find that you need to walk your feet back a little bit to give yourself a little more space. And then take a moment here, fidget around. So pedal back and forth between your feet. Find any movement that feels good. If it feels better to come into a place of stillness today, right away, that's always a good place to go. And eventually we're all going to meet there. So as you come into this downward dog, just peek forward, make sure that your arms are about shoulders distance apart. And then really start to squeeze the forearms in towards each other. Feel the upper arms engage, and then let the neck release back down so the ears are in line with your biceps. You're just gazing between your feet, which are hips distance apart. Good. From here, inhale, shift forward into your plank pose. So shoulders land over your wrists, gaze slightly ahead of your fingertips. Reach forward through your sternum as you stretch back through your heels. As you do that, notice how the legs activate. And then nice and slow, to the count of about 5, we start to bend our elbows. We pass to our chaturanga. You are welcome to do this on your knees. So here we go. Take your time. Keep those elbows squeezing in. Keep the shoulder heads lifting. Beautiful work. When you get there, lengthen back through all 10 toes. Bring your arms by your side. So palms facing inward. You can just rest on your forehead. Engage the legs a lot as you roll to the outer edge of the foot and press into all 10 toenails. Feel that inner thigh spiral up towards the ceiling. The glutes are going to squeeze a bit. As you inhale, head, chest, arms lift. So head and chest are extending. And then there's that lift. Notice if you're throwing your neck back. Just let it lower a little bit. So we want length in the front of the neck and the back of the neck. As you exhale, lower here. Inhale this time. Lift everything up off the mat. If adding the legs introduces sensation into your lower back that doesn't feel good, place them back down. And then see if you can lift your shoulders a little higher and then maybe the heels a little higher. Deep inhale. Exhale, release down. Fingertips come underneath your shoulder heads, elbows squeeze in, moving with the breath into our Bhujangasana. So you're not using your hands at all to help you come up. You're generating the movement from your back. Inhale up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, you lower. Keep pressing to the outer edges of the feet. Inhale, lengthen forward, and then lift. Exhale, lower down. Couple more, inhaling up. Squeeze those elbows in. Exhale, lower. Feel the shoulder blade squeezing in. Inhaling up here. Good. Exhale, lower. As we inhale, we come up, we hold. And just keeping the front of the neck, the back of the neck, kind of nice and long, even. And this might be enough back bending at this stage of the game. If you're ready to go a little deeper into your upper dog, drag your hands back. So wrists are over your elbows. On your next inhale, with really active legs, press into the tops of your feet. So your shins, your knees, your thighs lift up. Press the shoulder heads back a little more. Nice, Pamela. And then Roll over your toes if you're in your upward dog. If you're in your low cobra, press to your tabletop. Come back to your downward facing dog. And then we're going to start to walk our feet forward to meet our hands. Good. Bring your hands to your hips, elbow squeeze in. So back is nice and flat. Use your belly as you inhale to rise on up. So coming in to your Tadasana mountain pose, and we're going to just start to flow a little bit, build a little heat. All right, so as we inhale, arms reach out and up. Exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Maybe a bend in your knees. These first forward folds are always really intense. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, fold back in. Pressing down to rise up, taking up space. You can always reach arms forward too if you need to. Exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching Utthita Hastasana in Tadasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, we fold back in. Press down to rise up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. 3 more of these, just moving on your own. I'm not going to cue you. Listen to that sound of your breath. Find your own pace, your own rhythm. Really enjoy how good these feel. Beautiful work. There's no rush when you're done with your 3rd round. You are just coming to your Tandasana, hands together at your heart. Eyes might be closed. If they're open, it's just soft and gentle. All right, and then we're going to add on here. So if you do have a couple of blocks, maybe just grab them, make sure that they're at the top of your mat. If you don't have them, that's all right as well. Good. All right, so just adding on here, kind of warming things up a little further as we inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. We're going to keep our right foot forward, so step that left knee or left leg way back, land on the knee. And this is where it can be nice to have the blocks. So we're kind of melting this left hip down, getting into that hip flexor. So hands on blocks is good. We're going to exhale in. And then inhale, we're going to rock back to our half split. So we start to straighten that right leg, hips come over that left knee. Exhale in, doesn't matter how deep you go. As you inhale and come back, it's fine if you keep a little bend in that right knee. So just kind of warming this up with a little flow here. Exhale, we come in. Inhale back. Good, exhale, lower in. Inhale, come on back. And then we're going to hold this time. So exhale, not super long, about 5 or 6 breaths. Can slide that left knee back a little if you need a little more stretch. Can bring the hands lower on the blocks. And then we start to come back into our half split. So you might even take your blocks back with you. So you might be pretty upright here. If you're a little more flexible, really work on drawing that right hip back, left hip forward, and then maybe you start to walk your hands forward. So you find a little forward fold here. Do keep this idea of the openness across the heart and chest, sternum lifting a little bit. Nice work. Big, big hamstring stretch. It's a big muscle, so this is pretty intense. All right, so we're gonna start to rock forward. Plant your palms on either side of that right foot. Curl your left toes under, fire that leg up. So kind of in this like low runner's lunge. Keep gazing forward, keep your hips this low. Step that right foot back to plank pose. Take an inhale here. As we exhale, lots of options. Shift forward on toes, maybe come to knees. Lower halfway, hover, or all the way down. Good, inhale into your back bend. That was nice, Chris Berry. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through. So land on that right knee. This side might feel a lot different. Adjust how you need to with your props. So exhale, we melt in. Inhale, we pull left leg to straight. Might not get there. So just a little flow here. Exhaling, just kind of going at your pace. Inhaling, pulling back, right hip forward, left hip back. Exhale into this low lunge. Inhale, pulling back into this half splits. Couple more here before we come into the hold. Little vinyasa. This movement kind of helps to open everything up, kind of helps to quiet the mind. So the next time you exhale and come in, we hold here. So just the blocks if you need to. We've warmed it up a little bit, so perhaps you can go a little further. Send your exhale to the top of that right thigh. A lot of big muscles there that are attaching. So this is an intense stretch. And then we start to shift back into that half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. So take the blocks with you, maybe make them a little higher. And then for those of us that are a little more flexible, you do start to walk your hands forward. Keep a little sense of back bend in the upper body. Nice work. All right, so rock forward here, plant your palms, curl your right toes under, fire that leg up. As we exhale, we're gonna step our right foot to meet our left foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. I gotcha, Barry. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. Extra chaturangas for Chris. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So just flowing through that second side. And we'll do our low cobra, our low lunge. As you inhale, arms reach up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward, left foot stays forward. Step that right leg back, lower onto the knee. One breath, inhale up into your crescent pose. Good. As you exhale, hands come to the mat, curl right toes under, hips stay low. Step to plank, take an inhale. Exhale your version of your chaturanga vinyasa, whatever it looks like. Lots of possibilities. Inhale, low cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step that foot through, land on your left knee. Inhale, come up, low crescent. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Stretch out this exhale as you curl left toes under and step that foot to meet the right foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Good, exhale, hands come together at your heart. So classic sun salute this time. We'll add on a little here. Let's do a couple of these just to build a little more heat. So as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward, bend knees, plant palms, right foot back, then left. Stretch out this exhale as you move through your chaturanga vinyasa, whatever that looks like for you. Inhale, low cobra or upward facing dog. Great work. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths, make any little adjustments that you need to. And then start to press more to the inner edge of the hand, mound of the thumb, the index finger. Notice how that turns the upper arms on again. It's that same action we get when we're squeezing our forearms in towards each other. Stay in your downward dog, little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. Options, end of your exhale, peek forward, step right then left, walk feet forward, or you can lightly hop through. Inhale, lengthen Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, root down to rise up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhale, reach up. As you exhale, fold in inner thighs, spiral back. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep that gaze forward, left foot back, then right foot. Lower through your Chaturanga Vinyasa. Legs really active throughout. We pull back, downward facing dog. Good. So from here this time as we inhale, we're going to lift our right leg up. Exhale, step that foot through. So make sure you're not on a tightrope. So about hips distance apart with your feet. Keep a deep bend in this right knee. Reach back through that left heel. Inhale, rise up, crescent pose. And you can always have a little bend in the back knee. That's especially nice if you're tighter in the hip flexors. It gives you a little more space to lower waist. If you're a little more open, you start to press that back leg to straight. Good, and then let's open up into our Virabhadrasana 2 here. So go ahead and exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Heel toe, your right foot off to the right. Spin into the back edge of your left foot. So just make sure that your heel to arch here and then open up. So your torso is facing to the long edge of your mat. Arms out nice and wide, gazing out over your right fingertips. Imagine that there's a wall behind that right thigh. You're pressing that knee into that wall. So big hip opening, but let this left hip release down. So our hips are not trying to square here. Keep your legs exactly like this. As you inhale, reverse your warrior so that top arm reaches up and over, nice and light on that back leg. Feel all of this length through that right side. Maybe gaze up underneath that top arm. As we inhale, we find our Virabhadrasana 2 again. And then as we exhale, we start to hinge forward. So a couple of options. You can just bring your elbow to your knee. Probably have that block at the top of the mat. So block behind your foot, which is nice because you can start to press this knee into that arm, kind of glue them together so we get more hip opening here in this extended side angle pose. And then finally, if you would like to start to spin that left palm forward, reach the arm up overhead. Good work. From here, we just unwind. Spin on to those left toes, plant your palms, and then step back to your plank pose. Options here, you pull back downward facing dog, you take a Chaturanga Vinyasa. So whatever is feeling best in your body. Good, and then we take that to the second side. So as you inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, use your belly to help step that foot through. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. Fire up that back leg, maybe take a little bend in your right knee. Inhale, rise up, crescent pose, nice Pamela. Good, so your tailbone is directing down, your sternum is stretching up. Your gaze might be coming up a little bit. These look great. As you exhale, hands start to come down to heart center. Heel toe your left foot to the right twice, and then start to drop into the back edge of the right foot. So we are heel to arch, you're sinking in nice and deep, and then open up your arms. Torso is parallel to the long edge of your mat. Make sure you're not leaning forward over that left leg. And then start to press that left knee back behind you as you seal into the right back edge of the right foot. Keep legs exactly like this. So it's the upper body that changes. Start to reverse your warrior. Lightly reach your right hand down that back leg. Left arm comes up and over. Feel all of that length through the left side. Are you breathing? Is there any tension in your face and jaw? Soften there, smile. It's only yoga. Good, strong legs. Keep them exactly like this. Inhale back into your Virabhadrasana 2. And then think triangle pose in your upper body. Start to hinge at that left waist, reach through that left side, elbow to thigh or hand to block behind your foot. That's nice. You can play with different heights. And then seal that left knee into your upper left arm. Feel your shoulder blades stacking on top of each other initially. Exhale, roll your left ribs up. Good adjustments. And then take that top arm up and overhead. So feel that long line of energy through the left fingertips back through, or right fingertips rather, back through the back edge of that right foot. Nice work. Good. Just start to unwind here. So plant your palms on either side of the left foot, spin onto your right toes. Your option, if you would like to take a final chaturanga vinyasa here, you are welcome to. Otherwise, just pull back to your downward facing dog. And when you get to that downward facing dog, take a nice deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then just come down to your knees here. So we're gonna start to move to the yin portion of our practice. So we're gonna come into some different poses and we're just gonna hold them probably like 3 to 4 minutes to each side. So I'll give variations too. So first pose that we're gonna come into is our dragon pose, our lizard pose. So you can just kind of watch the options here. So from our downward dog, if you want this to be a little more intense, we're gonna step that right foot through, land on this back knee, and then walk that right foot off to the right. And you're gonna be here. So you might have hands on blocks. If you're super tight, you might be able to get in a little deeper, bringing forearms down. You might take a few breaths with that back leg curled under. So this is super intense. This might not be the direction you want to go. So the other variation of this is to do this pose on your back. And it's going to kind of look like a half happy baby. So a couple of options. You can kind of extend that left leg, hold on to the right shin, and you're kind of trying to let that knee fall to the outside of that right waist. You could grab the outer edge of your foot and gently pull down. So those are the two variations. So you figure out what's going to feel best for you. You can start in one and move to the other, or kind of split the time if that feels better too. So start to make your direction or your way to the pose that's feeling best. And you can always use props. If you're on your back and it's hard to hold, you could actually take a strap over the foot and hold the strap if that feels easier. And I've got the timer going here. So we're gonna do 3 minutes on this first side. So knowing that maybe you don't go super deep initially. And we're also in these yin poses not so concerned with engaging the muscles. We're actually kind of trying to let the joints relax and soften. So you don't need to be so concerned about keeping feet flexed. If you are in your upright dragon / lizard pose here, again, use props, blocks underneath your hands if that feels good. If you can go a little deeper and be there, make your way in that direction. And with any of these, if it all starts to feel like too much, too intense, just make your way out of it. You can still be doing your ujjayi here if that is helpful to you. For some of us, it gives us something to focus on, which is nice. You can let go of it. Do inhale and exhale through your nose, maybe stretch the breath out. And then also just kind of observe what it is you start to think about or where your brain goes. So these stretches, these holds, they're intense for sure. And we're not like trying to injure ourselves, but this is challenging. It's uncomfortable. And there's kind of a fine line between discomfort and pushing ourselves too far. So you want to play with that edge. You have to really listen to yourself. And I think more often than not, sometimes we need to back out as opposed to going in further. So know that that's a good direction to go and move into. We've probably got another good, 7 or 8 breaths here. So again, do make any adjustments that you need to. Take a nice deep inhale. Full, complete exhale. Let the breath go. Ha. All right, so from here, we're gonna actually transition into either our single pigeon or you could be doing a reclining pigeon. And again, you can kind of split the difference. If you wanna do a little on your back, a little upright, you're welcome to go there. So if you are upright in your dragon pose, just start to walk that right foot to the left. And we're gonna bend that knee, start to lengthen back through that left leg. This is a really wonderful pose to have a prop underneath that right hip. It's gonna make this a lot more bearable. Also, the closer you bring this right heel to your left hip, kind of the more accessible this is gonna be. If you tend to be more open in your hips, of course you can start to bring that shin parallel to the top of the mat. Otherwise, kind of just err on the side of less. You can have blocks out in front of you, so you can have hands on blocks, forearms on blocks. Eventually, a couple of us might move towards releasing down. If you are on your back here, you are simply going to take your right ankle, cross it above your left knee. You could stay here like this. If you want to go a little further, you start to bend that left knee into your chest. So again, just take a little bit of time getting set up here. Just finding where you need to be. And then we'll be here for about 2.5 more minutes. So obviously this is a really big hip stretch. You're gonna feel it in the hip flexor, the outer hip, the glute on that right side. As a result of the intensity that's happening there, have you introduced any gripping or tension into your body? Can you let the shoulders release down? Can you let your face soften? So particularly if you're in the single pigeon pose, we never want to have knee pain in this posture. So knee stretch is okay, but pain is not. So if you are in pain, you come onto your back and you just mellow this pose out a little bit. You'll be getting all of the same benefits. Always coming back to that sound of your breath. Then your attention is going to wander here. Thoughts are going to kick up. That's okay. Try to thread some moments of stillness together. Back out if you need to. Move in tiny amounts deeper as the fascia and the tissue around the joints starts to release and open up. Really nice work. So if you are in your single pigeon pose and you would like to start to walk in, and you might want to play with coming up onto fingertips. You could even take fingertips on blocks, and it's kind of a really nice stretch in the lower back. If that's too intense, obviously be a little further forward. So the closer we bring our hands towards the hips, the more intense that stretch. But this can feel nice for a few breaths here. Ooh. Good. And then, so if you're on your back, just release from that pigeon pose, hug both knees in. If you're upright, pull back to downward facing dog. It might feel good to lift your right leg, kind of wiggle things out a little bit. And then we're going to set this up to the second side. So as you inhale, left leg lifts. If you're on your back, you're just crossing that, or rather you're extending your right leg straight on the mat, holding the outer edge of your left foot or your left thigh, gently pulling down. If you're upright, you're stepping that left foot through, walking it off to the left. So hands come to the inside here. And then you'll probably start upright. So I've got the timer going here. Maybe eventually you bring hands down to the floor. So coming to forearms or forearms on the block. At some point you can also curl those right toes under. So lots of good variations. And I'll just demo on the back again here in case you need that visualization. So right leg extended, either holding the outer edge of that left foot. You might simply just be pulling down. If this is really intense, you could always use a strap here to help you as well. Listening to your breath. And then maybe just observing, how does this side feel different in your body? Always making little adjustments, whether that's moving out of the pose or moving a little deeper into the pose. When you come to those new places, just taking a moment to assess, how does this feel? Is it okay? Do I need to shift anything? Am I gripping any places that I don't need to be? So again, we're not so concerned here in this yin practice about engaging the muscles. We're actually trying to let the muscles relax so we can get into the deeper tissue, the joints, the fascia. So we're moving into our last 7 or 8 breaths here. If you did want to switch into the other variation, you're welcome to do that, or you can just stay where you're at. Face soft and relaxed. Maybe a little smile, even though this is intense. All right, so we're going to start to make our way out here. So if you're in your lizard pose, start to upright yourself. If you're on your back, just hug both knees into your chest. So we start to make our way to our single pigeon or reclining pigeon. So taking that left foot off to the right, really lengthen back through that right leg. You might even peek back and just make sure that that leg hasn't kind of winged off to the side. So it's heel is in line with your hip, closer this left ankle is to your left hip, the easier this is going to be. And then sliding a blanket, a block underneath that left sit bone is going to be really nice as well. And then you just start to melt your way in here. We've got a few minutes, so there's no big rush. Take your time, moving in deeper. If you are on your back, crossing your left ankle above that right knee, can take your left hand into that left thigh, just gently drawing forward. So we're trying to find that space, that opening, that nice hip stretch. You can go a little deeper by hugging the right leg in, interlacing fingers either around the thigh or the shin. Listening to your breath. When your attention wanders, come back to that sound of your breath. Observing how this side might feel different in your body. Nice work. And it can be challenging when we are in these intense stretches, but maybe as much as possible, just soaking up this stillness. So we're kind of like not doing much of anything. We're actually doing a lot, but we're not moving and flowing. We're not working as vigorously as we're used to, which is a good thing. It's good to do a little of both. So can you just soak up this stillness, this quiet? And I actually think that can be really hard to do, to give ourselves permission to enjoy that. So if you are in your single pigeon stretch, and again, you would like to start to walk your hands in any amount. So the closer fingertips come to the hips, some more stretch you're going to get in the lower back. You're going to feel it on that right hip flexor. You're welcome to do that. Hands could even come on blocks here. That's going to intensify things. A few more breaths like this. Good, deep inhale. Full, complete exhale, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. So if you are in your single pigeon, again, it might just feel really nice to pull back into a little three-legged dog, open up that left hip. So find any movement that feels nice. And then for our final pose here, I want to come into a thoracic stretch. So again, I'm going to give you a couple of possibilities. If you have a couple of blocks and you know that you tend to be a little more open in your thoracic, we're going to set up with our blocks here. So either the low or the medium level, kind of just depends on how you're built. And I'll just demo this really quick. So we've all done this before. We're just going to hold it a little longer than we usually do. So again, maybe not going as deep is a better choice to make. So this block is going to hit like the bottom of your shoulder blades, bra strap. And then you're going to have a block to rest your head on, potentially. So I've got long limbs, quite a bit of flexibility, so I can just let my head rest on the floor and breathe easily here. Most of us will probably take a block underneath. So the other possibility, in this configuration, knees can be bent or you can have the legs extended straight, and that's going to give you more stretch on the top of the thigh. Some of us are going to either roll up a blanket or your mat. So this is going to be less intense. And we've done this before too. So depending upon the thickness of your roll up is how much heart opening you're gonna get here. So if you're tighter, go less fat. And it's the same thing. So you're gonna lay back here. So I want my shoulder blades, my shoulders resting on the mat behind the blanket. So this is kind of hitting again that same place, bottom of the shoulder blades. And then you can cactus your arms here. Legs can be bent. If there is tension in your lower back, that's a really good idea. Otherwise, you can kind of find Shavasana with your legs. And make little adjustments. So it's definitely an intense stretch, but we don't want there to be any pain. Nice, Pamela. And we'll be here for a few minutes. So if your legs are extended straight, and if any time that starts to feel too intense on the fronts of the legs or the lower back, you just bend the knees. Nice, Chris. Eyes are probably closed here. So you're just bringing your gaze inward. And then maybe just following the motion of your breath. So as you inhale, feel all of that expansion. Really breathe down deep into your belly. And then as you exhale, everything contracts in. You empty out. Make sure there's not any tension. So in this pose, you might be gripping the inner thighs, soften there, let the muscles release as much as possible. If your legs are extended, the toes are probably just naturally falling out a little bit. About 7 or 8 more good breaths here. Take a nice deep inhale. Full, complete exhale. Let the breath go. Ha. So a couple of options. You can just roll to one side or the other if you're on your blanket or your blocks. If you're on blocks, sometimes it feels a little easier to press into your forearms and then hands and then rise up and then just move them out of the way. And we're going to take a nice little twist to each side before we come into our Shavasana. So make your way onto your back again. Hug your knees in. And then a couple of options here. So you can just do kind of a classic twist here. Knees fall off to the right. They stack on top of each other. If you like that variation, or you take the right thigh over left thigh, press into that left foot, scooch the hips off to the right. Left, and then let the knees fall down. You can do that. Try to let both shoulder blades be heavy. Can gaze out over those left fingertips if it feels okay in your neck. Otherwise, gaze straight up at the ceiling. Eyes might be closed. Really Shifting towards our Shavasana here. As you inhale, come up to center. If you cross the legs, just straighten out, recross, and then scooch hips off to the right so you have little space. Otherwise, knees just stacking on top of each other. Try to keep both shoulder blades nice and heavy in the mat underneath you. So twist really nice. We're just bringing the spine back to neutral. And then inhale up to center here. Give everything one final squeeze in. And then start to make your way into your Shavasana. It can be classic. You might have a blanket rolled up underneath your knees if there's any tenderness in your lower back. You could bend knees, take feet wide, and then allow knees to knock in towards each other. Give yourself permission not to think about anything these next few minutes. Allow your breath to just find its own natural rhythm. Allow your body to get really heavy, your muscles to relax entirely. Soak up all of the benefits of the work you've done. Take a deeper inhale. Sigh the breath out. And just start to bring some movement back to your body. Wiggle fingers, toes, stretch out. Bring your awareness back to your body. Staying soft and quiet, you roll to one side or the other, just finding the fetal position for a moment. And then using your hands to help you press up to comfortable seat. And just noticing how it feels to sit here. So hopefully there is a greater sense of space and ease in your body than when we started class an hour ago. Notice how the breath has shifted. Hopefully you're feeling a little calmer, a little quieter, a little more focused, perhaps even a little joy. Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up and working hard. Promise yourself that you're going to carry this feeling with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the week ahead. When you lose it, you'll just pause, do some sun salutes, breathe a little bit. You'll find it again. It's always there. Bring your palms together at your heart. Just bow your head with a smile. Terrific work today. Good to see all of you. Thank you. Namaste.